Hello, everyone. Welcome to Coursera conference and to this panel discussion, which is titled Future-Proofing Pathways to Employment. My name is Raghav Gupta. I'm the Managing Director of Coursera in India and Asia Pacific. I'm based out of New Delhi. We have an exciting discussion planned for today around this topic of future-proofing pathways to employment and an exciting set of leaders from academia and industry. I'd love to introduce them to you first, and then also set the context a little bit of what we will be covering as a part of this panel discussion. We have about an hour for this conversation, and I'm conscious that many of you are joining from India, parts of Asia, and possibly parts of Europe as well. So a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening as well. We have three panel members, like I mentioned. Firstly, we have Ritu Chakrabarti, who's the Global Head of Learning and Development at LTI Mindtree. As many of you would know, LTI Mindtree is a large global technology consulting and digital solutions company headquartered in India, with revenues of over $3.5 billion and from what I know, last 90,000 plus employees. Welcome, Ritu. Great to have you on the panel and great to see you again as always, and looking forward to listening to your thoughts and your views. Then we have Ms. Innocent Divya, who's joining us. She's an IS officer, Managing Director of NonModelman and Tamil Nadu Skill Development Corporation. We'll hear from here about this very ambitious, very exciting, very high impactful initiative of the government of Tamil Nadu, which is NonModelman, a massive industry relevant skill enhancement initiative for students and the youth of the state. And it's really unique in terms of what this program is doing. We are very privileged as Coursera to be a part of this program as well. And looking forward to hearing from you, ma'am, on what some of your objectives are and what your learnings have been. Welcome to this panel discussion. And then lastly, but not the least at all, Rakesh Menon, who's the National Head of Tally Education. And Tally, as many folks in India would know and possibly outside as well, Tally is a technology and innovation company delivering business software, especially accounting and bookkeeping, for small and medium businesses for over 3 decades now, based out of India. And Rakesh, I was seeing on your platform that Tally Education has served over 500,000 learners, which is pretty incredible to see as well. And we'll talk a little bit about industry as an educator and Tally's role in all of that. And welcome and thank you for joining us as well. So let me set a little bit more context, and then I'll get started with the first set of questions that we have for our experts and our panel members. As a part of future-proofing pathways to employment, we are seeing talent shortage is something that is affecting just about every business and organization in different parts of the world. It's more than just a matter of sourcing people who are willing to work, who want to bring their energy to work, but it's also a matter of getting in people who possess the skills that match up to the roles. And all of us realize that with technology, which was accelerated during COVID, and we're seeing rapid, disruption happening now with generative AI coming in, ChatGPT coming in, how do we get the relevant folks, the relevant employees into organizations with the right skills as well? We'll talk through this panel discussion about how upskilling, reskilling, education for students in campuses through online learning has the potential to align education more closely to how jobs are coming up in industry around us. And we've always spoken about collaboration between industry and education, but how do we make this scalable? How do we make this sustainable so that it can cater to needs of learners and employers together? We'll talk about that as a part of this panel discussion. Coursera and other organizations have done studies on how educational institutions that are adopting industry as an educator and are adopting this whole idea of industry micro-credentials are becoming more competitive, and we'll talk about that as well. So, just to summarize some of the topics that I'm hoping the audience will take away is going to be, firstly, we'll hear from Ritu and also from Rakesh on how companies are offering L&D and educational benefits, not just for skilling of employees, but also on how this can help retain talent. We'll talk about how universities and campuses are integrating career prep into their courses, possibly with industry micro-credentials from Tally and other companies playing a big role there. And then lastly, what is the role that companies and educational institutions can play in terms of this synergy that I kind of mentioned between campuses, businesses, and government organizations. And this is something that as Coursera, we are fortunate to be able to see because our work enables us to reach out to all of these three types of organizations. So looking forward to talking through that with this panel discussion. With that, maybe Ritu, I'd love to get started and come to you first. And I'd love to ask you, of course, and you've been a L&D leader for a number of years. You've seen how learning and development has changed and shaped over the last few years. We've spoken about how post-COVID, the acceleration has been even faster, if that was even possible. So just very broadly, what are the trends that you've witnessed? How are you thinking about it as mapping it to careers? What are you thinking about learning and development for this massive workforce that LTI Mindtree have? Over to you, Ritu.
Thank you so much, Raghav. First of all, thanks for having me here. Excited to have a conversation very meaningful with other panelists as well as with Raghav. So I come from IT service industry and I will anchor my answers and my responses to that. And Raghav, as you said about being relevant, I think that is the word in the current context. Whatever learning that we do or is supposed to be business aligned, and that's the crux of the things. Now, if I look at the recent trends and going forward, where we are going to focus on, right? So we see that there are 5 dimensions of learning. One is technology. Second is, since we belong to service industry, we provide service to the core industry domains like banking or retail or travel industry. So that area also becomes a critical learning area for us. Third one is the management, and whether it's project management going into the financials and stakeholder management or the metrics management. So it's all about the management. Fourth dimension is the human skill. Human skill, again, it's gaining importance over a period of time. And as we speak, we certainly have the focus on the say empathy or business storytelling. So these are some of the things which are trending for last few quarters, and then going forward also it will remain like this. And as I said, it's gaining importance every day. And the fifth dimension is the innovation. Again, without innovation, doing the day-to-day job will not bring the differentiation to any of our work, and we will fail to provide the unique solution to our customers. So innovation and how to have that innovation as part of our DNA, and that's something which is also gaining importance. Now, if I look at these 5 dimensions, all these skills are important, but the extremely important skill are 2 of the skills which are emerging out very strong. One is critical thinking and the other one is the problem solving. Now, I mean, whether it's our customers or internal, but having that ability to think in a different way and do that application to solve certain problems. And we are here in the IT industry, of course, we are solving problems for our customers. Understanding that business problem, but understanding the technology stack and then providing that solution as a comprehensive solution. So that's something which is expected. And if we gain certain skills, if we acquire certain skills in isolation, it will not help unless and until we have the problem solving skill. So these are the few trends that we are seeing and we are observing. We are trying to encourage people through various means and the modes, and trying to establish a lot of frameworks and a lot of platforms to do this. So I'll just give a pause here. Of course, we will have more time to go deeper in these areas. Thanks, Raghav.
Wonderful points, Ritu, and very clear points as well. You spoke about learning being business aligned and the 5 dimensions that you think about, right? I'm a little curious, and if I can ask a follow-up question as well, right? In a world of ML, AI, metaverse, generative AI, you went back to human skills and you went back to problem solving and critical thinking, which have been fundamental skills all of us have heard about for many, many years. So if I can just ask you to just double click on that a little bit, right? Why still the fundamental importance on human skills? And, I say this often myself in our work with companies that we're no longer in a world where leadership skills or human skills were meant only for business leaders, but leadership skills are meant for everybody, whether you're the junior most person or the senior most person in a company. And possibly within leadership skills, problem solving, critical thinking, like you laid out, are important as well. But yeah, like I said, in a world of generative AI, why are you going back to problem solving and critical thinking?
Very relevant question, Raghav. And I think human skills will remain important as long as humans are around and we are in the knowledge industry. I think the AI and ChatGPT and many more to come, and it will come very fast, but we will augment that, right? And but again, when we think about utilizing those skills, I'm just taking an example, ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT, how are we going to utilize the ChatGPT output to achieve something and to solve our customers' problem? That's where the critical thinking and problem solving skill will come, right? But even if I do a fantastic work, but if I can't articulate it back to our customers or back to our internal leaders, or if I cannot share it with my peer, where the business storytelling skill will come, right? It's needed there. So that's where the human skills are coming. Now, if I think about that, we still collaborate, right? And the collaboration is increasing day to day. We can't achieve anything on our own. Again, I mean, if I think about in an imaginary world where we are collaborating with ChatGPT, right? That is also possible. But gradually, we will see that whether it is pair programming or pair work, it will come into picture a lot more. So it will be really interesting to see that the collaboration as a skill will emerge very strong. And then the collaboration itself, that particular skill is a human skill. Similarly, when we are collaborating, we really need to have that empathy. And the pandemic has taught us empathy like anything, right? I mean, during such critical time when we have to be empathetic to our peers, to our customers, to our leaders. And we have demonstrated that, the whole industry has demonstrated. So these are some of the skills in the human skill itself are emerging very strong, and those will be needed. Those will remain as important skills going forward as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'll come to Rakesh next. And before that, just one quick point to the audience. I'd love to encourage everybody to ask questions as well. I think the platform has a Q&A window. So if you'll feel free to post any comments or questions, and my colleagues will relay them to me and we'll weave them into the conversation. I think we have about 120 folks who've joined us so far. So would encourage all of you, feel free to post comments and questions, and I'd love to weave them into this conversation. Okay, so Rakesh, let me come to you next, right? And I want to reference what I was starting to say, that Tally Education is focused on bringing education from a leading industry organization to learners, right? Whether these be students in campuses or working professionals. In all of this, there is the whole idea of an industry micro-credential, and you've launched a bookkeeper certificate on Coursera as well. So whether it's industry as an educator, whether it is the role of a micro-credential like what you have created, what are the trends that you are seeing, and what are your thoughts, what are your own objectives for this big push on providing education to learners who might be interested. Over to you, Rakesh.
Thanks, Raghav. Good evening once again to you and to all the panelists. As you mentioned that we are in the education industry and the trends are coming towards micro-certification. But I just wanted to take a step back and mention the fact that primarily education in India is still looked for employment. So after 15 years of education or 16 years of education, majority looks for employment, and that is where we fit in. So once the 15 years or 16 years of education is completed, and that is also in a kind of a pyramid structure, like when we are in 5th and 6th, we read all the subjects, and then we move on to 10th and 11th and 12th, we get into arts, science, commerce kind of a thing. So the age of specialization is typically coming into in education as well as in the industry. So from an industry perspective, from a Tally software perspective, we have, for our understanding, broken the industry into 3, which is manufacturing, trading, and services. And the whole MSME is based on these segments for us. Now, what typically happens is that if I am an MSME in the manufacturing industry, I would want the person or the recruit to have, the employee to have BCom degree as well as a micro-credential in inventory management, because I belong to manufacturing. Similarly, if somebody is belonging to the trading industry, you would want the employee to have a BCom degree, plus more to do with import, export, and the financial part of the same. Similarly, in a service industry. We have also seen, lately, that the employers are not only asking for an academic qualification, which is a BA, BCom, but they are also asking for a professional qualification. And that is where we typically fit in with the micro-credentials. So after 15 years of education, he is now looking for a job, looking for employment, and he's looking for a course in 30 days or 60 days, typically where he can get employment. And also what has happened is during COVID, and I'm being specific, during COVID, not pre-COVID or post-COVID, during COVID, although the time was very unknown and we had very unpredictable times, but the overall mankind had the faith in our scientists and the pharmaceutical industry that sooner or later we will come out with a vaccine, we will come out with a drug, we will come out with some medicine, and this would be over. But the time period was not very clear. However, micro-credentials which had 30 days duration or 60 days duration were being looked at, because nobody wanted to say this will stay on for 1 year or this will stay on for 2 years. We said it is there. We have acknowledged the fact that COVID is there, but it will move on very fast. The overall ecosystem, when was looking towards the micro-certifications or micro-credentials, the academia also pitched in, and in many of the universities, in many of the colleges, we have Tally embedded in the subject. So now we have graduates coming out as having a BCom as an academic qualification and also having micro-certification of Tally, so they are job ready. So this trend is there of hybrid, if I can call it hybrid for simplicity of the message. And this is going to remain, and this is going to get more deeper and more involved.
Yeah, and I think these points are wonderful, Rakesh, and many of them resonate with me. I think you started by saying, look, the age of specialization in education has come more than earlier or ever before. And I completely see that. And also this point that you made about, along with academic qualifications, the need of an industry certificate or an industry micro-credential. And I'll reference this study that Coursera did around the world. I think we covered about 10 countries 2 months ago, and we interviewed close to 3,000 students and about 1,500 employers. And very similar messages, students realize in campuses that, look, along with the degree that you're getting from your institution, if you are getting an industry micro-credential, and the example you took is very right? You're doing a BCom, you get a certificate from Tally, or any other subject. You're doing a MBA and you want to work in digital marketing and you get a certificate from Meta, Facebook, right? That is a strong qualification. That's a strong addition to the resume. And students want to come to such campuses which are able to do this seamlessly. And I think your example of Tally being embedded with campuses, I think, is powerful as well. I think what's driving this is also the fact that the employers see value in this. And, I'll talk to Ritu a little bit about this later as well. But many companies who have large hiring programs for students coming out of campuses are seeing we want to hire students who are coming out of campuses, have a credible degree and an industry micro-credential. Often there is discussion that, look, is an industry micro-credential going to overtake the degree, and will the degree no longer be relevant? We're not seeing that so far, but it's an and kind of an answer as opposed to an or kind of an answer, which we are seeing. So thank you for sharing those points. Very, very relevant. Ms. Divya, let me come to you next. And, I think a lot of people know the work that you're doing with NonModelman and as a part of Tamil Nadu Skills Development Corporation. We've spoken in the past that, clearly the future of learning and work is quite different, and how, both we've heard from Ritu and Rakesh, things are changing. In the context of what you are doing, would love to understand how you're thinking of, taking curricula in the state of Tamil Nadu, aligning curriculum, for students with what the industry is looking at. And given just the size and scale of the program that you have envisioned and are executing right now, what have been some of the experiences so far, and what's your vision for that program?
Thank you, Mr. Raghav. I'm honored to be part of this panel. And as both the other co-panelists put it across very forcefully, that the objective itself of education is to ensure that a student is made resourceful to the society. He adds value to life. He adds value to his own livelihood. Therefore, we see education as a pathway to employability. He can be an entrepreneur as well. But if what he is learning in college is not relevant to what is happening in the industry, neither of this gets done. Neither is he able to find employment. Industry relevant content is not there in colleges. So therefore, when he comes out of college, he's not able to find employment, nor is he able to start a business of his own, because he is completely not in tune with what the industry wants. So for both these objectives to get fulfilled, we should ensure that whatever is being taught in colleges today is always industry worthy and industry relevant. But in the present context, at least post-COVID, we've seen the immense and transformation that industry has seen. The pace at which technology is transforming is something that students, leave alone the students, the faculty themselves are not able to grapple with. Now, this is a real-time problem, and how do we grapple with this? So the government has now come forward with this, a program to integrate what the industry wants and what is happening in colleges today. That is what is meant by this massive upskilling program, the NonModelman. It is in Tamil. It roughly translates into "I am number one" or "I am the best." So it is a program which would enable every student to believe in himself. It is, I would call
audio?
it.
Sorry, Ms. Devi, I'm not sure if I lost audio or if others lost it as well. Were you able to hear her, Rakesh?
Yes, I was able to.
Okay, perfect. Maybe it was just on my side. Sorry to interrupt you. Please keep going.
So it is a leadership program where it is a comprehensive development program where we give the student every sort of skill. With skill, I mean we give him the confidence, because it is only by skill that a student gets the confidence. Now, unless a student might be learning AI, he might be learning machine learning, whatever he is doing as part of his curriculum, maybe it's theoretical knowledge. But when he gets into a industry, he's expected to work hands-on on a project. Now, how much does the curriculum help on this? So this is what NonModelman has tried to address. So right now, as part of the NonModelman program, we have onboarded all universities, all 10 arts and science universities that are in the state of Tamil Nadu have been onboarded. There is one technical university, the Anna University, which is the affiliating universities for all the 512 engineering colleges in the state. And that also has been onboarded. So in total, we have 15 lakh students on our portal. And what do we plan to do? We plan to give them skill-based courses. We've started, this is the first year of rolling out. Our Honorable Chief Minister launched launched the portal on 29th August 2022. And till date, we have managed to give skill-based courses to 13 lakh, 12.7 lakh to be accurate, students. Now, how have we done it? We have collaborated with partners like Coursera and global partners. Many of these global partners we have, around 55 partners we have. And it is not only theory-based content that we give. It is, they are supposed to work on projects. After learning a program, they are supposed to learn on project. They are supposed to work on projects. And we understand that there is a huge digital divide between the student communities. A student who is learning in an urban setup has much more access to online learning content and all these LMS content. But a student who is there in a rural college does not even have access to a proper Android device. And more so these colleges which are there, which are spread across the state, not all the colleges have the same kind of infrastructure facility. Now, this is what we're trying to address through the NonModelman program. Just because a student is studying in an institution in a rural part of Tamil Nadu or in any other part of the country, it does not mean he should not or he would not have access to industry relevant content. Because once he is out of college, he is out there in the industry. At that time, where he belongs to, which college he comes from, does not matter. So at the end, goal of education itself is to ensure that this student becomes employable. And not only that, every other young person in the village is looking up to this person who is into college, who is the first generation graduate, and they're looking up to him whether he would find a job soon after his graduation. If he doesn't, I think it sets off an entire vicious cycle of again getting into dropouts and again thinking about the problem of unemployment. So the entire thing is a vicious cycle. So why don't we take a curative or preventive step to prevent unemployment and underemployment, and by ensuring that you give industry relevant courses to everybody free of cost, to everybody, even people who are not able to afford it, because many of the private institutions, they offer it at as a value added program in colleges, but they are supposed to pay. Every student is supposed to pay. And it's also a value add, that is after he completes his regular academic program, he can take it. So it's only the top cream of students who manage to take those courses. So we wanted to ensure that these obstacles are sorted out. So we've made these programs, every semester has one NonModelman program, which is industry relevant, which is something that has been decided after elaborate discussions with the industry as to what gap they feel with in placing our students. And every semester we offer a relevant program free of cost, and it is a mandatory credited program. So it's given
Wonderful.
to credits. So it's part of the curriculum. So it is not that a person feels pressured by after completing his academic program he will have to take this course. It is part of the curriculum. I think that is something we've done.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I think the scale of what you're working on is really amazing to see. You mentioned 15 lakh students, 1.5 million students registered into the NonModelman program, with already many of them 12 and 13 lakh students benefiting from the program as well. One thing which is fundamental, which I think you shared, and I'd just like to emphasize on that a little bit. The pace of change has been so much that no longer is a student within a campus able to meet the needs of the industry by learning only from the campus, but expanding that to learning coming from possibly industry or even from other universities via a platform like Coursera is the need of the hour. And how do you then take that to lakhs of students, millions of students, via an online platform or a hybrid platform for that matter, I think is impressive. And I think the other thing which I would emphasize, and I think many of the audience members joining from academia in India would know this already, regulation has also changed in higher education to facilitate this. As a part of the new education policy, 40% of credits for an on-campus program can come from an online platform like Swayam, like Coursera. And I think you mentioned that students get credits for taking these industry relevant credentials as well. So wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Let me come back to you again, Ritu, and let's take the conversation forward to, you spoke earlier about business aligned learning. I want to take this conversation now, and especially as a technology services company, there's a lot of hiring that LTI Mindtree and your peers would do as well. And there's been this whole conversation around skills first approach to hiring, right? Along with a degree from a good institution, thinking about skills and how does one kind of factor those into hiring decisions, and then later possibly into learning strategies. How are you thinking about that? How are you approaching that?
Yeah, it's so relevant question in today's world, and can't agree more in terms of the way the technology is changing, the pace at which it is changing, and it will remain like this, right? So what we look for is certainly the technology skill. Being in the technology industry, of course, that is the highest of highest importance, and we do test as part of the hiring process. But we also give importance to learnability and the communication. I think as on today, we just cannot take people on board with us who are comfortable with a particular technology or a particular skill. Whereas what we need to understand is whether the person is willing to learn and have that agility to learn and have that agility to demonstrate the performance in a new area. And that can be very fast. I mean, we can train people, but then within a few weeks time or a few months time, the volatility of the business will demand something else, some other skills, and that person has to tune himself or herself towards that particular skill. So the learnability becomes extremely important. And of course, for any kind of hiring, this is extremely important to understand whether the person is open to learn new things, be flexible to cope up with the business needs. It's not that we are expecting that he or she has learned a lot or learned a versatile thing already, but there are ways to understand whether the ability to learn is high or low. So that's one thing. Another thing, as I mentioned, is the communication. I think communication is becoming extremely important going forward, as well as we speak today. What we have observed is articulating and expressing whatever we would like to express, right? That is extremely important, and in a corporate communication way, with very simple language. It's not the complex flowery English that we are expecting, but since we work across the globe, and there are certain language that we follow, right? And predominantly it is English, but again, sometimes local languages also, which we train. But predominantly, when we think about English, we certainly expect that the proper sentence construction for the written communication, for the verbal communication, and communicating well, which means that the other person understands and I understand what the other person is communicating, trying to communicate. So these are the two areas which are extremely important, other than the technical skill, when it comes to hiring. So I'll give a pause, Raghu.
Yeah, and Ritu, you covered great points, right? You said technical skills, of course, but these skills might change quite rapidly, and we are obviously talking about that. And that's why I think you emphasized on learnability and communication, which are these durable skills in a sense, right? And one of the things that we are doing, having heard this feedback from yourself and many others later today, is launching something that we are calling our ability to, look at skills, learnability, and communication skills of students, and then put them in front of industry. And you've seen talent pipelines that is coming from Coursera, but the intent is that, look, many students from possibly non-Modelman might be learning on Coursera. Can we see how their progression on technical skills, learnability, and communication is happening? And then and possibly that learning, industry micro-credentials from Tally and Google and IBM and so on and so forth. And then can we bring them to LTI Mindtree to then present a picture to be able to say, look, this might meet some of the needs that you're thinking about. But exciting to hear what you're thinking as well. And on the point that you mentioned, right, which is industry needs around technical skills, learnability, and communication, I'd love to come to Ms. Divya as well, because you spoke about how that is the core of the non-Modelman program. But if you could go a little bit deeper into that further, ma'am, and talk about how you're thinking about this. And also you referenced the Coursera partnership. How is that helping enable some of these goals? If you could talk about that as well.
Yeah. So before we launched the program, we had sector-wise discussions with the industry. We understood what the need was. As Ritu rightly put it, it was about adaptability and learnability. But of course, what content they are learning right now in colleges also needs to be on par with what the industry need is. So for the first year, we've introduced English as a communication language. It is also a credited program. And we have embarked upon some training partners. Cambridge is our partner. And for all students who are joining first year of college, Cambridge English is offered as a credit program. The second year, it is office fundamentals, because digital skills is something that every industry is looking for, be it an arts and science graduate or an engineer. Everybody is looking for digital skills. Therefore, for the second year, that has been made mandatory. The third year onwards, where Coursera is also involved, third and fourth year in engineering and in the final year in arts and science, we have given domain related skills. Suppose it is civil engineering, then it is building intelligent modeling. L&T is our partner. Civil, steel structures and maintenance of buildings, MEP, all these courses are being handled by L&T. And if it is electrical engineering, then it is electric vehicles, e-mobility, which is of course given by Coursera, a smart energy grid, and all emerging tech courses are being given. So like that, for every domain, every stream of learning that the student undergoes, he or she would be learning an emerging technology content. And this, and here we have not forgotten the fact that faculty in engineering colleges or in colleges cannot be, sidelined, because this is something that has to take along the faculty. So even for wherever, training partners have been involved and where training is being offered to the students, faculty training is also a very integral part of it. We ensure that the faculty are first given that material to go through, learn, and get certified. So even under Coursera, around 89,000 students have taken their program, and 1,254 faculty have taken these certifications. Now, how does it improve this? Though the content itself is not being offered by the faculty, they sort of facilitate it. So the first time when we had a feedback session about the non-Modelman after the first semester was done, there was so much of excitement that the faculty themselves felt. They said, this is the first time we are being exposed to what industry needs and what is happening in the industry. Because for years, for 20 to 25 long years, we've been closeted within our classrooms. We really have no idea what is happening in the industry. Today, you have given us a foresight of what is happening, and we know what is the technology, because there is nothing that which says that, in the rules that says they'll have to constantly upskill themselves. So there is no continuing education for faculty, at least in engineering colleges or in arts and science. Therefore, this has opened up the doors for faculty also to get upskill, for them to also choose other pathways in industry, to look at other career options, and also to guide the students in what the career options are and what industry's expectations are. And also, as part of the final finishing school component, we are offering them a suite of soft skills, how to talk, how to communicate in business language, how to write emails. And also, as part of this entire skilling process, we ensure that multidisciplinary teams are formed. There would be one person from mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, computer science. They form a multidisciplinary team and they learn to work as a team. So they, as part of the skilling process itself, while learning the program, while learning the course, they learn about how they collaborate in a team, how they work in a team, and how to solve a problem within a team. So all these skills, I think the entire program has been designed in such a way that it is a comprehensive development of skills that industry wants.
Wonderful points. And I could see Ritu smiling as you were talking about English and tech skills, and then also industry relevant content. Maybe possibly after this session, linking LTI Mindtree to a lot of the students coming out of NonModelman. And we're happy to facilitate that via Coursera platform, but that's something that we should definitely explore. There are a few questions coming in, and maybe I'll come back to you with a question that I think might be helpful to pose to you. Rakesh, if I can quickly come to you, and I'm conscious we have about 20 minutes. I still have a lot of questions to cover. So let's speed this up a little bit. So I want to ask you about the certificate that we launched on Coursera from Tally, right? The Tally Bookkeeper Professional Certificate. It's on Career Academy on Coursera. We've seen good adoption. Thousands of learners in the country have taken it. What was your objective of launching this? Does it speak to your objective of industry as an educator? And how are you seeing this going forward?
So as we are aware that Tally as Prime is a very popular software, and I would try to be a bit fast also because of the time constraint. So Tally Prime is a very popular software amongst the MSMEs, and we are used by a majority of the MSMEs. Just to give you the background of MSMEs in India, 30% of the GDP is contributed by MSME, 43% of the exports is contributed by MSME, and 42% of the labor force is by MSME. So to give employees or to take care of the recruitment needs, we have a very strong offline presence of Tally Education. We are present in across 700 stores, brick and mortar stores, and we have, strength in retail. We are there in colleges, we are there in alliances. We have CSR entities who take up Tally certification so that finally the beneficiaries can get employment. So we were looking at basically an online partner, and where there were 3 points which we looked into. First was the scalability. So scalability, because we wanted to be in the online space and we wanted to do things very fast. Second was access, which is easy access and anytime access. And the third was ease of revision in terms of changes in the courseware. So Coursera was fitting very well over there. We were also looking for a partner who would be having a very prominent, reputed, and a strong brand name. And again, Coursera was fitting in over there very well. We looked at the numbers. So we were told that Coursera has a learner base of around 22 million in the US and 19 million in India. And this is the fastest growing geography. So therefore, we didn't want to compete. We wanted to collaborate with Coursera, and we wanted to be in the online space. So looking at overall our aspirations and the things which were being put on the table, we thought Coursera is the best partner to go ahead on this online journey. We've taken initial steps, but these initial steps are very encouraging steps, and we are hopeful of a very, very mutually beneficial times together. I will take a pause.
Yeah. No, wonderful. And thank you for sharing that. And I think one thing which you called out, which is important, is the ability to keep that content fresh. And I think Ritu has spoken about this as well, that look, technology is changing. I'm sure that's what you kind of are thinking about as well, that once a course is launched, how do you also continuously keep it updated and keep it fresh as well? Now, I'd love to take one quick question from the audience. And Ms. Divya, this is to you. And I'm not sure if I fully understand the question, but let me ask you, this question in any case. So I'll read this out, right? So on talent shortage and future-proofing employability, are you seeing India in the midst of what Western countries went through decades ago, where attraction on STEM education actually reduced in Western economies and leading to our workforce possibly losing STEM jobs to other emerging economies? How should we address this? I think the fundamental of the question is around, are you seeing STEM subjects in India losing attractiveness? I would say that is not the case, but I'll let you kind of answer that.
Yeah, of course, STEM is something that we Indians are, very strong at, and all of our educational institutions, I think there's a lot of focus on STEM education. So I don't think that we are anywhere losing focus on STEM at all. But of course, with the future jobs, as Ritu also rightly put it, there's more shift towards arts. More shift towards fine arts, and those with AI and all kicking in, and with all these jobs getting automated. So how much more should we focus on that? It's also another part that we'll have to look into. Right now, I don't think the focus is almost shifted into that. So I think that has to be the future too. But here, I think we are, at least as far as India is concerned, we are very, very strong in engineering education. We have the largest number of engineering institutions in the world, in the entire world, and the number of engineers that we are churning out every year is, I think, the number is the highest. But how far these engineers think like engineers is what is the challenge that we are faced with. So the entrepreneurial mindset, whether he or she becomes an entrepreneur or not, is different. But how he thinks like an entrepreneur and how he has a solution, how a solution-oriented mindset is there. That is what I think right now our curriculum will have to focus on, our pedagogy will have to focus on, and that is how we have to orient, I think, our academic institutions into.
Yeah, wonderful. Ritu, let me come to you next. And this is a question which is a little bit about employee retention and internal mobility, right? You've spoken about skilling, but from an L&D context, and I hear this from companies quite a bit as well, that it's not just about skilling, but in today's world, career development is important more than ever. How are you approaching internal mobility? How are you thinking about L&D having an impact on career pathing, but also very importantly on employee retention?
I think these are all connected, and of course, as many other organizations have thought through, and we have also thought through about the framework, which will help us define the competency in depth as well as across various competency, and typically these are called competency frameworks. And it actually helps us to understand what kind of roles are needed in the organization, and for that role, what kind of skills are required. And if we establish that framework, how will it help the employees for their career path? And while they move in their career paths, how can they fulfill their aspirations in terms of the learning? So as we can see, all these elements are interconnected, and this is the framework which helps establishing us for various drives. And these drives are typically for the future readiness, and we do a lot of capability drive to have the future ready talent, right? So, but then again, as I said, that the framework helps us to navigate within that definition, and it binds us together binds the elements together, right? So to make it meaningful, which is extremely important. And typically these frameworks are customized for each organization. So it's very true for our organization also. But eventually it helps the business, it helps the employee value proposition as well. And to ensure that it is not done with a stick, but it is done as part of the culture of the organization. We have called out learning as part of our culture. So in our set of values, we have called out learning, that the future ready talent and be always future ready is part of our values, along with the purpose and being caring and result oriented. So these are the four things that we call out as part of our values, and one of the four values is towards the learning. So it's a curiosity-based learning culture we establish, and there are various initiatives through which this culture is nurtured. But as I said, the end goal is to play around within that framework to ensure that we have the right value proposition for an employee and a very relevant learning for the business.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Rakesh, there's a question which I'd love to bring to you, which I've received. And let me read this out. So it says, when we talk about synergy between industry and education, how relevant is it to examine if the decisions there are future-proof and relevant? Of course, this is a subjective question, but how far rationally can we examine this? And I think if I understand the question correctly, the idea is to say, as you're thinking about industry as an educator, how are you thinking about future-proofing, the education that industry is providing to learners, whether they be students on campuses or working professionals? And are there other synergies that one can think about between industry and education institutions?
So typically this question arises from the fact, and whatever limited understanding I've had from the articulation is that we have, let's say, and I'm not blaming that branch at all, but we have these engineers who come out of the engineering colleges, and when they go and meet the IT majors, at least in a city like Bangalore, they are told that they are not job ready. So you may be an engineer, but if you want to work with me, then I will take you in and I will put you 3 months of solid training, 6 months of solid training, and only then you would be useful to me, or only then you would be making sense to us. Therefore, how do we take care in this? So basically what I'm trying to say that there is this divergence between the academia and the industry. So how do we stay relevant? Now, in terms of Tally, I will give you an example also. In terms of Tally, what happens is that Tally Solutions is the creator of the software called Tally Prime. And when any development happens in Tally Prime, we are there as Tally Education to take care of the content to be created accordingly. So in 2017, we had a major tax reform across the country called GST. So government was looking into compliance of GST in 2017. Tally Solutions as a software company or a technology company was creating a new product which was imbibing everything in GST so that the country becomes GST compliant. And Tally Education was aware of all these developments. So when the GST was being created as a product, we were creating content on GST. And when we were creating content on GST, we knew what are the changes which are happening. So in 2018, let's say, there was an e-way bill which came in. So we knew Tally Solutions or Government of India will introduce this. Tally Solutions will create this. And there would be employers who would be looking for employees who would know GST, who would be knowing the e-way bill. So when the GST was launched in this country, we had our courses and certifications parallelly running across in the market. We were complementing them, we were supplementing them. So as far as we are concerned, and if that answers the questions, that is how we stay relevant or we stay future-proof to the employment in this country, at least in this space.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful example. Yeah, that's a wonderful example. I think to be able to stay connected with the business and incorporate that into the education that you're bringing to learners as well. And the GST example, I think, is a perfect example. Thank you for sharing that. Ms. Divya, let me come to you next. And I'd love to ask you to extrapolate the NonModelman experience so far. And it's still, I would say, a few months and quarters into the program, but there have been a lot of learnings on what works, what does not work. And if I could ask you to extrapolate that and say, look, at a broader level, in other states and other countries, what are some of the learnings to say, how do organizations like NonModelman, your own organization, Tamil Nadu State Skill Development Corporation, private organizations possibly like Coursera and other partners that you've brought together, the 50 that you spoke about, and higher education institutions, how do we replicate this to continue the scale of 15 lakh students, 1.5 million students across. What are some of the learnings on what works and what does not work? What would be your advice?
Yeah, the keyword itself is at scale. So skilling at scale itself comes with a lot of challenges because the terrain that we work with, the number of the sheer volume of students that we work with, the institutions that we work with, see all these, there is so much of difference between the communities that we work with. Therefore, how do we take the content at uniform scale, at quality, at standardized quality, without any dilution of standard or content or instruction at scale? So that was the challenge that we were faced with. Now, as I spoke earlier, the digital divide is a real thing. As we are talking about industry relevance and all that, there are so many areas in our own state which do not have connectivity. Many colleges in the state do not have Wi-Fi. It is only there in the lab, and the college is not Wi-Fi enabled. So only, and the lab, the computers are accessed by only computer science students. Many colleges have the same, this is the quality of or standards of our academic institutions. There is, we can't mince words here. Therefore, how do you ensure that the quality is ensured and whatever content we offer in an urban institution is taken to a rural institution? Now, here we have worked around a bit. We have ensured that we work with training partners to give us content which can be recorded and given to colleges, where on the other hand, we are also enabling these institutions to multiply their facilities in terms of having network connectivity, having large number of computers. Of course, that is part of the AICTE norms itself, but many of the colleges are not compliant even with the AICTE norms. But that is on one hand. On one hand, we're trying to ensure that these norms are fulfilled, and on the other hand, whatever facility they have now, right now, utilizing that facility, how we can train the students. So we enable these campuses to access the recorded content in terms of the videos, the training videos that are given. We ask them to play it in projectors across the classrooms. And once the student gets access to the content, and then they work on the real-time industry use cases. Now, project-based learning has helped us to a large extent because this is hybrid mode. We are not only dependent on online content. The training partner is supposed to, or that is one of the asks from the training partner, that they are supposed to deploy trainers physically in colleges. And wherever there are a very few number of students in colleges, we manage to aggregate them into hub institutions. So where we ensure that there is at least a critical mass of 40 students in one batch where the trainer can come and train them. So they are given tasks to work on. That is why we train the faculty, because everywhere we cannot depend on the training partner's own staff to ensure, the hand-holding cannot be there for the entire semester or the entire year. Therefore, the faculty are given some material. We also ask the training partner to supply them with the material for for those tasks, the industry use cases that the students work on. And we ensure that the trainer goes into the campuses once in 15 days to ensure that the task is completed by the students. And once the task is over, once the project is done, the evaluation is done in a hybrid mode. That's a joint evaluation by the faculty member and the training provider. Since there are marks which are supposed to be entered in the mark sheet in the final assessment, so there is a joint evaluation of the project by the training partner and the faculty. So I think in the longer course of events, I think we'll have to integrate it into the curriculum. But as we are all aware, there's so much of change and dynamicity within the industry itself. Therefore, this will serve as a stopgap measure where till the academic institutions are able to ramp up their facilities, ramp up their curriculum, train the faculty and offer it in their own institutions, this will act as a stopgap measure.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I'm conscious we are at time. I know the audience is going to move to the next panel. So I'm going to close us out. I would have loved to take closing remarks, but I don't think we'll have time for that. I want to thank all three of you for sharing your thoughts. I think all of you have been very clear and shared wonderful insights. I think the message is very clear. Industry as educator, I think, is an important theme that we're clearly seeing. I think learning beyond just campuses to bring the best of the world in the context of local, challenges. You spoke about the digital divide as a big challenge in rural India. Keeping that in mind is important. And then Ritu, you spoke a lot about business aligned learning, but not just technical skills, but learnability and also human skills and problem solving. Critical thing was some of the topics that you spoke about. Thank you so much for all your thoughts and your time. And a big shout out to the audience for joining us. Looking forward to having a great Coursera conference. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.